Alright, so welcome back guys, and welcome to your first time here. I'm Vision here with Blind Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my review for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 5, What It Always Is. Now, if The Walking Dead is something you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. That would miss any more Walking Dead videos from me moving forward. Now let's begin. We start this episode off with Kelly going out on a hunting mission. Now, I don't really like how they put her out by herself because it just sounds stupid. I get why they did it storytelling wise, but realistically, it just sounds stupid given the fact that she's got her hearing loss issues. So it just made it sound stupid realistically. But overall, I understand why they did it from a storytelling perspective. But I did like the opening minutes. You have her out there, and I really liked how they did that, back and forth with her not being able to hear. That was a very good touch. I liked how they did that. But she's out on her hunting mission, and she kills that boar. And the one thing I never understand between her and Connie is how do those slingshots actually kill something? I'm sorry, but I just don't believe it. It's just something I've been watching over and over, and I don't know, it just doesn't look believable to me. But she ends up killing that boar or pig or whatever she was hunting, and she ends up being attacked by walkers, and she ends up getting hurt and runs away, and ends up being able to save herself. However, the opening ends with her leaning against a rock, and a walker coming up behind her. Now, I think that was a really good setup, and it was a really, really good opening minutes, but the payoff never ended up coming there. I think that was kind of sucky. Back at Hilltop, you got, I think it's Brianna, this new character from the comics, informs Yumiko that someone's been stealing supplies, and so she goes and try to figure out who it is. It's revealed that Magna has been on watch while the supplies has gone missing. So Yumiko goes to talk to her to try to figure out what's going on. And we continue with this annoying BS stuff where the two of them are having conflict for reasons. I don't know. Again, the conflict doesn't feel genuine. It feels like they're putting it in there just to fill up time. But then you got Daryl and Siddiq who show up. And I don't really understand why they showed up there. They're looking for Negan. I guess maybe they're too far out to return that day, so they come there to spend the night. But they show up there, and Siddiq is asked to stay to look after the injured from the tree falling into the community, which I like how they added that touch there. And then the hunting party that Kelly was with returns, and Connie asks them where Kelly is, and they just say, oh, she's not back yet. I don't know. That bit also annoyed me. Like, she was out there with you, and I don't get it. And they just kind of stay behind. I never understood that. Daryl goes out of Connie to look for her, and I really like the scenes with the two of them. Again, I really like the relationship that they're building up with Daryl and Connie, depending on if this goes anywhere. It's very interesting and different, especially given Daryl's history with, not talking and everything on the show. So I really liked how they added that into the story. But you got them going out and looking for Connie, and then you got this story Daryl tells Connie about Merle. Now, I did like the story. And I like how I brought up backstory and stuff that had happened in the previous, and just talked about Merle instead of just, they don't do that much often in the show. So I really liked how they did that here and just brought up characters from the past that doesn't really happen too much in the show. So that was nice. The story was okay. Nothing like, oh my god, it's crazy or changing. Just a funny, good story. So I like that and I appreciate it. But as they're walking and looking for Kelly, Magna shows up and joins them. I guess I don't really understand what the point of her showing up at this point. Was she hiding more supplies? Was she going to get supplies? I never understood why she showed up at this point. It just, again, this story just felt, there's just parts of their story here that just felt forced. But they end up finding Kelly, who's badly injured. Again, we don't know how she escaped, which I don't like when they do that to the story. But they find her and get her to safety. They can't get back there right away, so they decide to stay there for a bit to let Kelly heal up. And Magna reveals her stash of medicine and supplies that she's stashed out in the wild, which I don't totally get why she'd stash them in the wild, because random survivors could find it and just take it. So to me, that is another thing that just sounds stupid. But she gives them the supplies, and Daryl confronts her about, taking the supplies. And I don't know, this is one of those moments where I kind of like what they were going for here, but at the same time, I don't like what they did with Magna here. It just frustrates me and just makes me not really like her as a character right now. Meanwhile, at Hilltop, while all that's going on, you got Sadiq, who is at Hilltop healing up with the injured, and we get information from Ezekiel revealing that he has thyroid cancer, which a lot of people have been speculating that. Now, this is an interesting idea. I like how they kind of did something different with Ezekiel, and giving him this thyroid cancer, especially cancer. That's something that's interesting given the apocalypse. So I'm very curious to see what goes on here. But later on, we see Sadiq checking back in on Alexandria with Dante. We learn that Rosita's a bit ill. Sadiq decides, okay, I'll come home for tomorrow. So, meanwhile, as this is going on, Ezekiel decides that he wants to talk to Carol and inform her about his cancer. However, when he gets to the radio to try to talk to her, he chickens out, I guess, and decides not to. Now, once Magna returned from rescuing Kelly, we get back and forth between Yumiko and Magna again. And we learned, like we said, in the last episode that Yumiko was Magna's defense attorney. And we learned that Magna tried to kill a guy who raped her cousin. Now, I like the idea of backstory, but again, I don't believe that Magna spent hard time in prison. But the two of them kind of get into a fight. Yumiko always believed that she was innocent, and Magna reveals that she wasn't. And I guess for that reason, they kind of are on the rocks now, and Yumiko somewhat breaks up with her. Now, at another point, we also get some story between, I guess, Eren and Gamma. It's more Gamma's story, but she's out polluting, I guess, the water supply to Alexandria, taking Guardians and just dumping their blood in the water to contaminate it. Now, I like this idea, and it's something different, especially with the Whispers and how they act. So I like this idea of, like, biological warfare. But, I guess Eren spots her and tries to communicate with her, but she just runs off. And she ends up going back to the camp. And I guess she needs more Guardians. But Beta and another Whisper are kind of questioning Alpha's motives. And Alpha pretty much explains to them that, she's got a plan. It takes time to enact it, and it's a slow burn, but she's gonna eventually break the group. And it's revealed that the Whispers are responsible for the tree, which I don't believe, because I still don't understand how our group would never have heard like that tree being cut or chopped or sawed down. Alpha, who takes the guy that questioned her and ends up killing him, and gives him to Gamma to use as a guardian to, pollute the water. So she goes back and starts killing him, or starts gutting him to pollute the water. And she ends up cutting herself on the hand while she's doing that. And because she has, like, flashbacks to her sister dying, which I really liked. And her anointment as Gamma, I guess she's, like, kind of questioning everything that's happened. So I really liked how to add that in. But like I said, she cuts herself, and Eren offers her a gauze and tries to communicate with her again, but she ends up again running away. And she talks to Alpha about Eren, and I guess her and Alpha decide, okay, you're starting to somewhat form a relationship with this guy, so why don't you continue on building up on that relationship, and maybe you can, extract information from our enemies. Now we get into the most important part of the episode, the part between Negan and Brandon. Now, I feel like this was the strongest part of the episode. And I really like the dynamic between the two of them, where Negan's just trying to do his own thing, and Brandon's being the annoying guy tagging along with him. And I like a lot of people said online, it's like when you meet your hero. It was a very fun part of the episode, and the only one that I actually pretty much enjoyed. So you got the two of them. Negan is, like, washing up at a lake, and Brandon finally catches up to him. And I like the back and forth between these two characters. It was a very interesting dynamic. And one of the things I found interesting was that they made Brandon the son of two Sanctuary members who died during all that war, which I really like. That's an interesting concept, because it makes him not like Rick even more, or idolize Negan even more, because in his eyes, he sees Negan as the good guy and our guys as the guy who killed his parents. So I really like that idea. It makes sense to him that he would idolize Negan for that reason. Now, as they're walking, one of the conversations that is brought up is that Brandon has heard stories that he made Rick cut off Carl's own hand, and then he actually killed Carl himself. Now, Negan states that that's not true and defends himself and says he would never kill a kid. Now, that is downright a lie, and the writers screwed up here. Because if you go back and watch season 6, where they meet Jesus and the rest of the Hilltop people, Jesus actually states that Negan killed a 16-year-old boy, Rory, right off the bat. So, that's a lie right there. He actually did kill a kid, so the writers screwed up there. We got to them continuing to walk through the woods, and Negan ends up being attacked by a walker, and he ends up being able to kill the walker. However, Brendan doesn't help him, and it's revealed after the fact that he wasn't helping him because he presents him with a new Lucille bat and his leather jacket, which I found pretty cool and interesting. However, Negan kind of, rejects it, saying that he doesn't want the bat and he doesn't want the jacket because he wants to, not stand out that much. Which makes sense from Negan's standpoint. Now, as the two continue on, Negan and Brandon run into a mother and son, and Negan saves them from a group of walkers. And while he's there, he kind of forms a relationship with the two of them, and they tell him, they've been going from place to place. They don't really have a stable camp or anything. And Negan offers them to take them to Hilltop and get them to safety, and pretty much helps them out because he's trying to redeem himself. He's trying to be the good guy. However, Brandon believes he's, playing them and tries to ask him, what's our game plan? What are we going to do with them? And Negan generally tells him, there's no game here, And he pretty much tells him, look, why don't you head back out? I'm not doing anything. I'm just gonna hang out here. Why don't you go back? Now, at that point, Negan ends up sitting down and talking with the kid. Now, I really like that connection that they have here, and I wish they had expanded on this a little bit more, had the chance to. But Negan sits down with the kid, and they have this conversation. Negan talks to him about, because he's playing a plane, and Negan talks to him about a plane and stuff like that, and explains, the experience of it, which I kind of like. That's something cool and different. Now, Negan goes off to collect firewood to create a camp for the night. Now, when he comes back, he finds Brandon has killed both the mother and the son, which angers him. Now, Brandon says that he believed that Negan was testing him, and he thinks that, by killing the mother and son, he's passed the test. However, seeing what he has done, Negan becomes enraged and pretty much takes a rock and kills him. Now, I really kind of like how they remixed this from the comics. Now, we end the episode out with Negan entering the Whisperer territory, and he does his old mantra, the little pig, let me in, which I really liked. I like that callback to, back in season 7 and stuff. It was really cool, and I like how they did those little callbacks with Negan in this episode. He eventually gets caught by the Whisperers and thrown to the ground, and as he looks up, he sees Beta, and it ends out with him saying something to the effect of, let's get this going, you freaky, you freaky guy, or something like that. So I really liked how he ended the episode out. Overall, if I had to give this episode a grade, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. Some of the other stuff with, Magna and them kind of lowered it for me. I don't know. Some of the stuff just didn't vibe for me, but the Negan stuff I really did enjoy. And yeah, guys, that's my review of The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 5, as it always is. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. That would miss any more Walking Dead content from me moving forward. And you can go follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which are linked in the about section of my YouTube channel. As always, it's been Vision here with Blind Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.